aspect within the sub-region, especially the Lake Chad Basin Commission, it has made tremendous success. But the frustration is that of an asymmetric warfare. It is a complex operation. It has permeated the societies, both in Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. It is something that started more than 30, 40 years ago. They have penetrated the communities. They have won the communities to their side. That's why you see small hamlets, 1 or 2 people, still you see them hibernating or keeping boko haram in those locations. So it's a complex. So it requires a whole of government approach to deal with this. Military activities or military action is just one aspect. And this is one mistake we have been making, that only the military that is seen to solve this thing. It's not. Military cannot solve this action. In the first place, it wasn't the military that started it. There were political, social, economic factors that need to be addressed from the beginning. I don't need to take it back from independence or from the First Republic and so on. Development should be progressive. There should be roads everywhere. There should be employment. There should be hospitals, schools, all over. But I tell you now, yesterday I was counting 5 local governments in Borno State do not have good access roads to those locations. I'm not indicting anybody. That's the truth. You can't have access. Since independence up to now, where do you get the solution? The same thing in the northwest, Niger State, Zamfara, Niger is north central, where we have this incident now of kidnapping. The same thing in Zamfara, in Katsina and Sokoto. There are so many ungovernable spaces. Until those things are penetrated, those locations are penetrated with road infrastructure, with rail, with amenities in terms of hospitals, schools, and so on, then we carry everybody along. And education is very fundamental, And unless these things are done, we will make, despite the diplomatic efforts, internally we must get it right. And that is the essence of this diplomacy, foreign policy. It's a projection of domestic policy. So if you are able to domicile or curtail these things internally, that's why you project to other countries, and all our neighboring countries will be able, to have a very, robust defense as well as foreign policy action that will lead to the eradication of all this insecurity in the region. The next issue, sorry, I'm taking long because I'm quite passionate about it, and these are the realities, and the truth must be told, because this thing cannot end. I predicted sometimes that it may take another 20 years, and that is the truth, His Excellency Senator Bikula Mosun did mention that the issue still, I think it's related. Insecurity still pervades the nation, and it's still shocking to continue to see things are still getting out of hand, probably. Why, despite all the efforts, finances, equipment, and the rest from all areas. One of my responses is to what I just said, but as far as since 2015, I met an army that is demoralized, an army that had no equipment, even simple troop-carrying vehicle. In Maiduguri, they were using civilian joint task force vehicle to move troops for operation. They were using trailer that carries horses, donkeys, cows, to move troops from one location to the other for operation. But today, we have invented our own indigenous vehicles, the Ezgo MRAP, the Konkaro MRAPs, to change the narrative. And if you see, the trend has been that most of those areas that hitherto been occupied by the Boko Haram terrorists have been taken over by our troops. But how do you sustain it? You need more training, you need more manpower, you need more equipment because of the vastness of the terrain. You require a lot of resources. That is on the military side. But more is required on the political and the governance side as well. So unless these things are done, comprehensively, deliberately, with serious intervention, we will still continue, this insecurity can continue to lead us. If you look at this insurgency, as I said, is new to us here. But even those that have been experiencing it, especially Afghanistan, Iraq, and some of these, especially Syria and so on, the Middle East generally, and even in some Far East Asian countries, you still have this. But it depends upon the government efforts. Everybody, all stakeholders must be responsible to contain it to the barest minimum. Unless that one is done, it will be very difficult, to contain it completely. But I hope it's not lost. I'm sure with the steps being taken by the government and the collaboration of everybody, all the stakeholders, the National Assembly, of course, has a very good role to play by appropriation, by oversight function, by ensuring the right things are done. We will get it over. I think that is the key solution, as asked.
I think they are basically in two ways. One, you're looking at what are the issues that we need to look at to address the insecurity that we are facing. I must say the solution is multi-pronged, because we talk about conventional warfare, we talk about asymmetric warfare, we are talking about hybrid warfare, where everyone is involved. It is not about kinetics. Kinetics gives only 35% successes of any war we are fighting. It is a national approach that must be properly galvanized for us to actually mount the insecurity. I will say, 3 years ago, I conducted a research on the forest in the country. I realized we have over 1,000 forest reserves. I sent the team to Kenya. They went to Kenya and brought out a paper, and I said then 3 years ago that our next crisis will be in the forest. Some governors were invited. We told them, because most of the forests are the prerogative of states. The states took over all the forest reserve. And I said too, we had to protect the forest. We had to send things to the forest to protect the forest. This 3 years ago, 2018, we did a research, and for 6 months, we did it that apart from what we're facing in the Northeast, the next problem we're going to have is the forest. But again, usually until it's with us right now. So it is a multifaceted approach. Everyone has to come on board for us to be able to address the security. Talking about whatever, you can never have enough, either weapons, either personnel, but then there are issues that we need to address, and that it has to be all about the nation. So I think that's the position. But then, like all my observations, what I've seen as setbacks or issues that I need to address, as I exit in the military, I'll continue to address them. I'm not done with it. They have other issues that I will continue to address, convey to the appropriate quarters to look at and see. Because, of course, with my experience in 6 months as the CDS, I went through it all. We developed a lot of capacities. We developed a lot of initiatives. All operations, we looked at all the operations and begin to step up again well ahead to address all these issues. But like I said, it is not just about kinetics. It's about a national approach to addressing this issue. And I think this is what we need to do. Yes, like Senator Ndube said, I believe, yes, appointment, likely in the wisdom of Mr. President, had brought us on board as ambassadors. We, like I explained in my opening remark, talked about how I employ military diplomacy to be able to bring some people or some CDS and some their armies into our operation. I believe that these are things we could do because we are, of course, over the years, all of us have gone through courses that have to do with diplomacy, and we are skillful enough to be able to reach out to all these nations and see how they can buy into our own requirement so that you can confront the crisis we are facing.